You may not be them, but here's how to get their look.
Makeup tips for
Apply
beginners.
concealer
First things
to these
first.
exact
always
Don't do that.
brows.
Okay, this is the wrong way.
Here are these
Andrew, I've just spent 5 minutes on TikTok, and apparently my skin needs collagen banking, a pH-reactive blush, and something infused with crystals to align energy fields.
Yeah? Well, some post on Instagram told me that my skin barrier could be traumatized, my scalp is aging faster than my face, and that my pores are busy communicating with my nervous system.
Hashtag collagen banking has what now, 7 billion views?
7.7 billion, and this from an app that last week told me to put beef tallow on my face.
And hair care's just as intense. Skinification of the scalp, overnight treatments, heatless curls, tools that promise clinical-grade results that are emotionally considerate.
And what about makeup? Pinterest is all over the villain-era eyeshadow, color analysis, pH-powdered formulas, cherry lacquer lip gloss. And did you know that Gen Z are buying mascara, concealer, and gloss, but only if it's under $20 and collectible?
So science, longevity, prevention, well-being on the one hand.
Chaos, velocity, dopamine, and decision paralysis on the other.
Which begs the question, is beauty empowering people right now?
Or simply exhausting them.
Let's bring some clarity here. Cue the theme tune.
Well, oxygen levels restored, Caitlin. But, a point well made, I think. Beauty has become one of the loudest corners of the internet.
Most definitely. That opening racket was based upon social media analytics from the final 3 months of 2025. Now, we often talk about engagement like it's some kind of liquid gold. So when views are up, creators are busy. Life is good, right? But what engagement doesn't tell you is how people are feeling after the scrolling stops. And let's face it, quite often that feeling isn't excitement, it's exhaustion.
Yeah, we shouldn't forget, of course, social media has done extraordinary things for beauty. It's democratized discovery, it's established a lot of new voices, accelerated trends, and innovation in ways that we've never seen before.
But platforms like TikTok have also collapsed context. Everything sits side by side. Clinical science, high-performance biotech, that cherry-lacquered lip gloss, all delivered with the same urgency, the same call to action.
Yeah, and one of the industry's most experienced voices, so this is Coty's ex-CMO, Sunabi, she concluded recently that far from empowering people, all this noise has become pretty disorientating for consumers.
Which makes us wonder, is the beauty industry optimizing for attention, or is it making itself genuinely useful for modern consumers? For those of you who made it to the end of our last episode, we made you a promise.
We did? Oh, yes, that's right. So we promised more insight, more substance per episode than any other marketing podcast. For this episode, we've consulted over 2,500 beauty-forward consumers. So these are people who not only follow trends, but actively seek out what's coming next.
Where did we find these people?
So from the US, the UK, China, as you might expect, but also the United Arab Emirates, India, South Korea, Thailand, Brazil, South Africa. There's a lot of different climates there, different cultures, different routines. So the research set out to find out what people really lean into. And to do that, we pressure tested 35 emerging product innovations that the industry is already excited about.
Okay, so these are product innovations that sit on the edges right now, but presumably they represent some of the big bets for the future?
Exactly that, Caitlin. So it included stuff like biotech-driven skincare, microbiome balancing creams, wearable beauty patches, hormonal beauty, on-the-go oral care.
Looking at your list, I can see that some areas are already in play, like scalp therapy treatments.
Yeah, that's right. And I think in the case of scalp therapy, it's because many commentators think that it's yet to have its moment in the sun.
Tell us how you went about this research.
So each of our participants was faced with 3 randomized product innovations at a time. So one of them could have been that biotech beauty. So they got the title, Biotech Beauty, and then a short statement. And out of the 3, they were asked which one they would be most and least likely to try.
Okay, so an approach that recognizes we all have to make choices, right? We might like all the ideas, but can't realistically adopt them all.
Yeah. So every participant got to review 20 sets of 3 And that has given us over 50,000 trade-off scenarios. So it's a pretty strong piece of work. And spoiler alert, there are some pretty remarkable levels of consistency on what people want from their beauty, regardless of where they live.
So don't go anywhere, dear listener, because coming up, we will find out which product innovations rose to the top and what this new research tells us about where beauty is heading next. To understand how the new beauty frontier will play out on the world's stage, let's cross to our colleagues in Asia, because it's probably already happening. Isn't that right, Coco?
Yes, absolutely. Hello, beauty is booming here, with highest growth coming from emerging cities and younger consumers. Asia is demanding smarter, more personalized, and more sustainable beauty solutions.
What are some of the most exciting product or ingredient innovations that you're seeing?
There is a real wave of clinical-inspired beauty. Examples such as Key-In, a pioneering brand in biotech beauty. It dives deeper into dermatological principle and delivers medical-grade care. Climate-adaptive products are also booming, with extreme climate changes becomes part of the norm here. Cosmology is a space-inspired skincare brand. It applies space thinking to everyday skincare. Its formulas focus on deep hydration and comfort even in extreme conditions.
Some really interesting innovations there. Now, we know Gen Z and Gen Alpha have a huge influence on the beauty industry. How are brands adapting?
This cohort is actually rewriting the rules, seeking alternative routines and cosmetics that break the beauty norms. In China, for example, there's a trend of tan skin to get a more unique and healthier look, even though the traditional standard has long been associated with being fair and whitening. So skincare and cosmetic brands need to stay agile for those ever-changing needs.
What's one innovation or trend you think will surprise our listeners, Coco?
I think one to watch is the rise of pro-ordinary beauty tools, intelligent, ergonomic designs inspired by professional clinics but made for home use. And don't be surprised if you see more beauty products for pets as the market expands to new categories and new life stages.
Thank you so much for all of that. We're really looking forward to hearing more from you on our Impact Makers Pod in future episodes. That was Coco Wu from Huxley's Asia operations, where the future has already arrived. Loved that, and we'll be hearing a lot more from Coco in future episodes. So if you want to keep up with developments in Asia, be sure to subscribe. Now, Andrew, what wisdom do you have from this research?
There's a lot we can gather from the choices that our consumers made here. Aesthetics have been riding high for some time, but I think what this research is telling me is you get the sense that this is changing, that people are signaling to us that they want product experiences that zone into supporting emotional states and specifically in building their resilience.
That's a big shift and could concern those brands that have strong associations to surface level corrections and the pursuit of perfectionism, right?
I think it's a real risk. I really do. And I said earlier that there was a remarkable level of consistency in what people want from around the world. It's not hard to see why. We continue to live through times defined by uncertainty, digital overstimulation, geopolitical crisis, and so many of our young people are experiencing mental health issues, of course.
And in that context, people's needs and aspirations are going to shift, right?
I mean, how can they not? So I think this is a real opportunity moment for the beauty category, to step up, take a much more prominent role in people's lives, go beyond those aesthetics, of course. People are going to want brands and products that help them cope better. We see that, of course, in people's daily skincare routines now. I mean, they're becoming, aren't they, a part of people's daily self-care.
From what you're saying, does the word beauty start to feel out of date?
When I look at the statements that resonated most with consumers in this study, Caitlin, and also the product innovations that they lean into most, I think, yes, the word beauty starts to feel insufficient. I think what we're really talking about now is more akin to this idea of holistic well-being, products that span physical, emotional, mental needs.
Well, all of this chimes with a new report I have here from personal care giant Kenvue. The company found that 88% of global consumers acknowledge that their personal care routines also positively impact their health.
Yeah, no surprise there. And I mean, if that is not telling us that the meaning of beauty has evolved, then I don't know what does.
The report finds that people who spend 15 minutes or more consistently report better outcomes, physically and emotionally.
Which is really interesting. And it reminds me we should do a plug for our own report. If you'd like a copy of MMR's brand new evidence-based report into the future of beauty, then head over to MMR's website. That's www.mmr-research.com and follow the links. There you'll find 10 observable shifts in what consumers want from the beauty category, including the transition from surface care to system care, plus analysis of the most powerful innovation spaces on the planet. Best of all, this latest edition of Growth Spaces Quarterly is absolutely free. I probably should go into the voiceover business, shouldn't I? Maybe not. Okay, now that shift towards system care is probably driven, I think, by a growing realization from consumers of the interconnectedness of our gut, our skin, our scalp, our brain health. And I suspect that the rise of gut health has been a real catalyst to this mindset here. But it does give some credibility to this idea of holistic wellness, which perhaps in the past has felt, a bit wishy-washy. I think it has helped growth spaces such as longevity skincare, microbiome balancing, and neuro skincare rise to the top of this study with credibility. I mean, in the UK and the US, neuro skincare was the third biggest opportunity out of the 35 tested. And that is pretty remarkable, right, for something that is still feels kind of out there.
So we're seeing people prioritize inner strength more, physically and emotionally, over, say, age reversal.
Yeah, I really think so. And over the next 10 years, I think we will see people place more importance on the emotional impacts of their beauty product experience.
And if it is going to more about how beauty products make you feel, then we need to make exactly the right choices for all of those sensory cues and micro moments, which speaks to a lot of the work I do when I'm not being a podcaster. So once again, if you want to read more about these shifts, go to www.mmr-research.com and follow the links. I've heard that this report is getting a lot of interest from across the industry. I think you're going to be busy for a while, Andrew.
Now, with the world as it is, consumers are giving the beauty category permission to step up, I think, beyond those surface level fixes towards regulation, resilience, basically helping people cope better. And that brings us to microbiome skincare. In our research, it emerged as one of the top growth spaces, and Marie Drago is founder of Galénic, one of the earliest voices to bring skin microbiome into the mainstream beauty conversation long before it became buzzy. And I am delighted to welcome Marie to the podcast. Hello, Marie.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Now, look, you founded Galénic at a time when skin microbiome was barely talked about. Was there a defining moment that made you realize that working with human biology, rather than maybe trying to override it, had to be the future of skincare?
Yes, there was actually. I launched Galénic in 2016. So at the time, I think there was something like 5 science articles published on the skin microbiome. It was absolutely nothing. But I got this idea because it was a meeting of a personal life story where I was treated very heavily for an autoimmune disease. It was a very heavy treatment and it was not working so well. It was fighting my body so hard.
Mm-hmm.
I started to discover the microbiome and how actually inflammation could be helped just by helping your own bacteria help your body. So there was this personal problem that I had. And then I always been working in the skincare industry for 15 years. I was getting a bit frustrated with it because there was no real innovation on the way that we formulate product. And I'm an industrial pharmacist. So for me, formulation and what you put in the product is the most important.
Yeah.
And I wanted to create something new. And I got the idea to help the bacteria on your skin, to create the actual first brand talking about microbiome on skin. And yeah, we've been here 10 years now.
So this is a product that essentially helps the body deal with stressors. Is that right? But it's topical as opposed to, say, some of these new age drinks that we can often find in the supermarket. This is something that you can apply to your skin to reduce the stresses on the human body. Is that correct?
Is correct. For me, the umbrella about everything we are doing is about inflammation. So when you talk about skin, 70% of women today identify as having sensitive skin. The cause could be internal, like stress is impacting your skin, or external. We wash too much, there's too much pollution, we don't sleep enough. So yes, inflammation on the skin translates by sensitive skin, of course, but a lot of other diseases, such as acne, eczema, psoriasis, and there's a lot of talks about how everything is inflammation. So what we do with Galine is that we apply topical products to help the skin manage inflammation better. We don't just do skin. That was something that was a bit different when we launched the brand, that very early on we launched more than one category. Usually beauty brands stay with their own category, so face care or body care. Today we've got, I think, 5 or 6 categories. We do body care, skin care, scalp care, intimate care, we do oral care, and we do supplements. So everywhere where there is bacteria, we can help.
It's throughout the entire podcast, we've been talking about how noisy the beauty category can be. And, there's a danger, therefore, that microbiome as a concept just becomes one more complication for people, in their busy lives. How do you approach your marketing in a way that doesn't add to the weight of confusion?
So when you are a small indie brand, complication is not such a problem. When I launched Galine, there's more than 200 skincare brands being launched in Europe every year, and
Wow.
90% of them don't pass the first year. So you need to make a noise that is a bit different from everyone else. And microbiome was so perfect for that. We could talk about bacteria for the first time ever. Bacteria is a good thing. When we started, I talked a lot about the science as a way to carve my little niche and make some noise and show how different we were from everyone else. With time, I learned that actually, yes, it is a bit complex, and the more people you want to reach, the more we start to lead with results. We can bring you skin results in a very different way, and this way is microbiome science. So as a scientist, I always found it slightly frustrating, but people love the product because of what it does for them, not because of how it works.
And you've spoken a lot about the microbiome beyond the skin. So you've talked about the gut, skin, brain axis. As consumers take a more holistic view, being aware of the interconnectedness of everything, how should beauty brands talk about this without sort of overhyping it or overclaiming? How do you approach this sort of more holistic stance of beauty brands?
That's such an interesting point for me, because wellness and holistic are two words that my marketing department bans me from using, because they say it's too wishy-washy, it's not sciencey enough. And for me, I think microbiome is so interesting because it brings science to these concepts that already were existing. And that's one thing where consumer perception was preceding science. So especially for the gut-brain-skin axis, where it means how your gut microbiome can influence your mood and your skin. People were feeling it, we've been saying for ages that, there's some stuff that you eat and it makes you sluggish, or it makes you depressed, it gets you bad skin. For years and years, dermatologists were saying, no, this doesn't exist, that's not science. And then science got up. And so I'm so happy that today, yes, with microbiome science, we are very cool and very on trend, because we say, yes, everything is connected, and I can explain it with science, and I can show it with proof. So that's actually very satisfying to show that, yes, wellness and consumer were right, and now we can prove it.
When I was on your website yesterday, it was suggesting that I put vinegar on my face.
Yes.
And I thought I'd give you the chance to tell me why I should do this.
So we've got our bestseller is a vinegar toner, which is based on vinegar.
Your bestseller?
Yes, I've sold something like 400,000 of them since we started. So it's called face vinegar because I've got no imagination when it comes to product name. And yes, there is vinegar in it, and it's not perfume, so it's going to smell skinny like vinegar. And that's because scientifically it makes so much sense. I launched it because so acetic acid is what we call a short-chain fatty acid, so it's a strongly anti-inflammatory compound. Your skin is acidic, so putting acids on your skin makes sense. We've got excellent clinical results. You can use it even if you've got very sensitive skin because it's formulated this way. And it's the exact friction that I was looking for, which is like we launched the first ice vinegar. People noticed and people tried it. And it was a slight barrier to entry. But once you pass this barrier, you're sold with the product and you promote it around you.
It's got high curiosity, but presumably it's different from me ordering a canister of white vinegar. It's
Please
different.
don't do
Yes.
that. Yes. Even if when I launched in London, the first press cover I got was a journalist putting the vinegar on a pack of chips.
How did that go?
It's very different. It's all about formulation. As we said in beauty, formulation is queen.
Fantastic. And you say it's one of your best sellers, something I am curious to try. Your brand is deeply science-backed, but it is also known, I think, for comfort, for ritual, for sensory pleasure. Do you think that trust in beauty now is built as much by how a product feels, that product experience in the moment, as all of that clinical data and science behind it? Is that sensory experience as important these days?
That's something we see right away, is that the first reflex of everyone who tries a beauty product on their hand is going to smell it. Like, even if there's no relation, nothing, people are always going to smell it.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
I took a slightly different route from beauty generally, which is that a lot of beauty is very sensorial. We've got creamy texture, nice perfume, like the finish is nice. For me, it's a bit of a tension in our development department, which is like I go for efficacy and I don't put anything that's not supposed to be in the product. So no perfume, no overall texture ingredient, no colorant, nothing like that. Which means that our face vinegar smell like vinegar. We've got face creams that smell like brown sugar because it's prebiotic. It's very transparent as product. And we didn't know if it was a good thing or not. And then we did our first focus group some years ago and people loved it. They were like, oh my God, yes, it's such a honesty from this brand that you actually can smell what's inside and that it's not hiding behind anything.
Yeah.
And this kind of trust and transparency brands are craving for. And we got it just by not being too sensorial.
I guess, yes, when you think about it, if there's that disconnect between what the product's promising and the texture or the fragrance, the belief is going to be less. Even though those aromas might be pleasurable, it may reduce belief. Now, let's look ahead because, research into microbiome is continuing. The science is accelerating. Where do you think microbiome thinking expands next? Do you think that the industry has really wrapped its head around the potential of this style or type of skincare and beyond?
So yeah, there is a skincare part where I was told by someone who was working at Boots years ago, like, yes, Marie, in the future, all skincare is going to be microbiome skincare. Now that we've got the science and we understand how skins work, there's no going back. Like, of course, you're going to help the bacteria. So this I see arriving and the skincare world is catching up. But then for me, as the future is what you say, this holistic view of beauty where everything is connected. It's easier on the brand side, not so much on the retailer side. There's this thing for retailer where they've got the categories and they've got their shelf for supplements 5 feet away from their shelf from skincare.
Yeah.
If we want this really view of holistic beauty to happen, we've got to mix things up a little bit. So yes, for me, it makes sense to have maybe one day a microbiome washing powder to wash your clothes with microbiome and also to sell it with a supplement, a face cream, and why not a toothpaste? Makes sense on the science side. For me, on the marketing side, on the retail side, trickier.
So, Marie, if I was to summarize the future remit of the beauty category, I think the word that seems to rise to the top when I look at all the research that we've done in all those markets is that the consumer is looking for beauty to step up and help them be more resilient in this world. How does microbiome skincare fit into this idea of a more resilient me?
That's a very interesting question because yes, microbiome skincare will give you resilience. Like it's really educating your skin and your immune system to resist better to whatever life can throw at it. Even in microbiome science, resilience is now a key word. Before we were always talking about diversity or acquisition of bacteria. Now resilience is a key word. It's really how you can be better for longer and how you can over time educate. It's really linked to longevity in my head, which is how you can actually prevent more than cure. And that's a big shift in beauty. Like we've been about quick fixes and instant results for a long time. So the fact that consumers are ready to go for the longer ride is a really good thing. And I think it's really interesting.
Yeah. So it's more on that investment curve, isn't it? It's
Yes.
prevention and rather than cure. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, it's still early days in the microbiome arena, but its prospects clearly are huge, as many of us are looking towards better skin health, regulation, and resilience. Really great to get your insights today and experiences, Marie. Now, if listeners have had their interest piqued to go microbiome, how might they find out more from your website?
So yeah, the best thing to do is to go on our website. So it's www.galine.com. And there you will find, yes, products, of course, but also a lot of little lessons about how to learn and to take care of your microbiome.
And can I be a bit cheeky and suggest a discount code?
Yes, of course, I'll be very happy to do that.
Okay, well, you can look out for that on our socials, both Galine and the Impact Makers socials. Once again, Marie, really good to have you today. I must confess that in researching this episode, I have yet again had to dig deep into my own pocket because my interest was also piqued and I've got an order on its way. In fact, it might even arrive today. So I'll let you know.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Marie. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's pretty clear why microbiome skincare resonated so well with consumers, Andrew. And great to have Marie's life experience on the pod. Big question, though. Can microbiome skincare make the cut when there's so much else coming on stream? In your study, I note that there are 5 skincare-related propositions in the global top 10. Apart from microbiome, I see neuroskincare, regenerative serums, longevity skincare, climate proofing.
Well, that's a defining question, Caitlin. And I think, yeah, it reminds me of all that noise that we started this episode with. How can manufacturers land these new technologies in ways that land clearly, intuitively, and connect up in some ways? I did give this some thought in the report. Could the industry frame microbiome skincare as some kind of foundational proposition? So something gentle, supportive, and calming that is the beginning of good skincare. Does climate-proof skincare, is that about layered protection, so bringing everyday resilience and not just seasonal defense? I think with neuroskincare, which, works with the skin's nerve endings, this could be framed as something to do with emotional regulation, so soothing stress-related sensitivities, restoring balance, that kind of thing. And those regenerative serums you mentioned, well, that could be about repair. And the longevity skincare could be marketed around continuity.
I like this. It's a logic with the potential to tie everything together. And seen this way, these spaces don't necessarily compete, but rather they stack. And I guess the consumer doesn't need all 5 at once. Whether the industry, and that includes retail, can coalesce around this type of thinking remains to be seen, I guess. Over the next decade, manufacturers will need to prove that beauty is ready to step up for all the reasons Andrew has outlined. Our new research shows that consumers aren't just looking for performance anymore. They want products that build resilience, support mood, and create small, meaningful moments of joy in everyday life. So, rather than talking about the future in theory, let's look at what's already happening in practice. I'm delighted to be joined by 2 of MMR's sensory experts, Christine Barnegot in London and Carrie Chu in Shanghai. Welcome to you both.
Hello. Nice to join you.
Hi.
Let's start with you, Christine. In MMR's research, mood-boosting beauty emerges as a priority for mainstream audiences. What have you found that champions this already?
Well, I found this smooth and balanced gel serum that harnesses the restoring power of adaptogens like galangal leaves and Shrishwandra berry extracts to strengthen your skin barrier. It's a skincare product from Swedish brand Oriflame, and it's under its Welosophy platform. It's a brand that really understands beauty's expanding role beyond surface care into self-care. The brand positioned itself around helping consumers reach their happy place. It's describing itself as a supporting cheer squad for well-being. And as Andrew has already discussed, the shift from perfection to resilience is one of the defining movements reshaping beauty.
Did the product genuinely help you reach that happy place?
It did, and it really starts from the first impression with the packaging, because really it does have a cheerful pastel coral color, which I find both chic and uplifting to see in your bathroom shelf. I must admit, there's a lot of white, there's a lot of gray sometimes in products, so it's nice to have a beautiful color that you can showcase. The shape is also ergonomically pleasing. It feels well in the hand, it feels round, smooth, and soft, and it has no jarring angles. So from the morning where you need a little bit of help, getting into the groove and something nice and soft and cocooning, that really starts very well.
Well, it certainly sounds like that sensory execution, the texture, the color, the feel, the ritual really helps to boost those mood-boosting claims. Do you feel like they did enough to make that promise feel believable?
Yeah, the sensory experience is indeed providing mood-boosting benefits. It really starts from the light, well, silky gel texture that glides on the skin as you apply it. It absorbs quickly and it provides an immediate soothing and comfort to the skin, especially if you have sensitive or a bit stressed kind of skin. There's also this delicate smell infused with geranium, lemon, and peppermint essential oils that helps uplift the experience. It provides a natural, refreshing boost with fresh green and zingy citrusy notes, yet it's subtle enough that it allows you to layer on in your routine other products. And breathing it in during the application, I think it really becomes a little moment of self-connection. And overall, it leaves the skin feeling refreshed due to a slight cooling effect and comfortably hydrated and soft, but it's not greasy or overloaded. So it makes you feel fresh, soothed, and ready to continue with the rest of your routine. So in my book, that's a great start of the day right there.
Thanks for those vivid descriptions, Christine. I can almost feel it on my skin as you discuss. Now, if skincare has led the way in emotional and experiential innovation, oral care has historically lagged behind. But that's changing fast, with Asia becoming a proving ground for what next-generation oral care can be. Rising disposable incomes, greater ingredient literacy, and a strong cultural link between beauty and holistic wellness are accelerating this shift. Carrie, that's something you're seeing firsthand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the product I explored was Pure Oral Carbonated Toothpaste, which claims to clean 2.5 times deeper with its self-forming formula.
Okay, so sounds like you've been having some fun. Take us through the experience and whether it met your expectations of a carbonated toothpaste.
Honestly, I will say it was super impressive. I can really feel the carbonated self-forming working. Within the first few seconds, there's already a genius amount of foam, and it's very fine, dense, and soft, similar to what you got from self-forming facial cleansers. What stood out to me is how long-lasting the foam is. Normally, by the end of brushing, the foam became thin and disappears, but here, the dense foam stays throughout the entire process, so your mouth feels constantly enveloped. This kind of continuous coverage really makes the cleaning feel more thorough and gives a stronger sense of overall oral health protection. And the plus point is there is a gentle mint freshness throughout. Not intense, just continuous, very refreshing coolness that adds an uplifting finish to the experience.
Super interesting, Carrie. We know from all of the work we do in the oral care sector that sensation and the foam are critically important, but consumers often think about that mintiness at the forefront of clean. So it's great to see a product kind of focusing on sensation first and delivering on that experience through the entirety of the brush. Do you think this kind of sensory joy risks potentially undermining perceptions of functionality, or does it actually enhance credibility?
I actually think it enhances credibility because the sensory experience is clearly connected to how the product works. You don't just hear about the benefits, you can actually feel them when you're brushing.
What's exciting is the possibility that oral care globally could move in the same direction, where sensory cues really build memory and emotion and meaning in ways that claims alone never can. Which brings me to hair care. As hair increasingly becomes a visible signal of overall well-being, wellness is being woven much more deeply into hair care behaviors. And in MMR's research, scalp therapy treatments and bond-building hair masks emerge as the most compelling hair care innovation spaces worldwide. We've seen a distinct rise in the number of Japanese-inspired head spas in the US, with people going on-premise to get more intensive treatments that show just how healthy their scalp really is. But simultaneously, we've seen the rise of at-home treatments like Ouai's Scalp Serum, which promises to balance, hydrate, and provide the ideal environment for your hair to thrive. Now, we're seeing similar trends in Europe and Asia, it sounds like. Is that right, Christine and Carrie?
Yes, it is. Yes, we are seeing definitely a shift from hair to scalp treatment because it is obviously the environment that helps you grow healthy hair. And that's therefore a shift in looking after your scalp will look ultimately after your hair.
Yeah, and also besides the function benefits that it might have from the scalp cleaning products, we are also seeing the brands that are introducing additional sensory experience, like how you are going to smell during the whole washing process. So, I mean, they also add beneficial sensory experience, which makes the consumers to be more enjoyable and more happy when they wash their hair. You know, washing hair is a bit troublesome.
And we've talked across a few of our episodes about hair care that is intended for mood boosting and really what fragrant futures are going to be. So we know that that's going to become a more and more critical element of the sensory experience. Over the last few episodes, we've identified a growing tension around TikTok, the feeling that for many people, it's starting to feel less like a place for discovery and more like a 24/7 shopping channel. TikTok Shop is undeniably powerful, but when every scroll starts to feel like a pitch, trust in creators, influencers, and even brands can start to wobble. So what's interesting is that just as influencer marketing has scaled up, a different kind of creator has emerged by scaling down, the nano creator. Now, this is where my expertise genuinely runs out, but luckily for us, Shania from the Together Agency is here to help us make sense of what's really going on.
Well, Caitlin, I'll start by saying your framing is spot on. Nano creators typically have much smaller audiences, but their content feels less like persuasion and much more like a lived experience. In many ways, they're not chasing reach, they're safeguarding trust. So, rather than just talking about this shift, let's actually bring it to life. For this edition of the Z Factor, I'm delighted to welcome Caitlin Costello, a beauty addict on a mission to share the love of bright, fun makeup and brilliant skincare. So, hello, Caitlin.
Hi.
So, first off, can you just give us an introduction and tell us a bit about being an influencer and a creator in the beauty space?
Yeah, so I started this wild journey a few years ago. It kind of got me through uni. I struggled a lot with mental health and things through uni, and it was like my little escape. I'd come home, turn on the camera, just speak to my like 5 subscribers about crazy makeup and my life and things like that. And it kind of grew, and I just found a love for it, and I've just kept going ever since.
Oh, that's such a great story. How do you sort of connect with your audience, and especially in the makeup world?
I think the makeup world is full, as you said, of like sell. And for me, it's always been about just being on FaceTime with the girls. Like that's just what it seems like to me. Like talking about my life. I've done dating horror stories. I've done just talking about my experiences and things like that. Mental health is a big one. Not being this like perfect influencer, like I am a real person, and kind of portraying that through my content, I think is something that's really important, and it creates that bond with the audience.
I love that. So being kind of more authentic as sort of like a nano creator.
For sure, yeah.
Amazing. So how would you say you balance playful and kind of this bright, bold, experimental makeup with the demand for practical, life-proof routines, thinking kind of specifically in the 2026 is the new 2016 sort of idea?
Yeah, so there's been a massive shift actually. When I started, it was definitely more heavy makeup, and then we did see that kind of clean girl. And I think just being true to yourself, like despite what I'm wearing today, I'm normally like bright blue, cut creases, all that kind of stuff. And you build your audience through that. I think it's important to shift your content through the trends and things like that.
Yep.
But being, oh, now I'm a clean girl, now I'm a cake face queen, now I'm this, now I'm that, now I'm the other. I think you need to just be comfortable with yourself, who you are, what your style is. I always say that bright, colorful makeup is my creative outlet, and then more neutral makeup is my like feel good, more confident in myself. Like I'm going on a date today, which I'm sure I'll tell all my viewers about. So, this is my more feel good, kind of feel good makeup rather than crazy out there in your face, which I absolutely love. But it's finding that balance between the two and being able to convey both of those sides of myself.
Oh, that's great.
And I think it widens my audience, and it's something that I love doing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great answer. So, sort of like leading on from that, then I guess, what role does inclusivity play in your work, and how do you ensure that your content and recommendations are accessible to sort of all skin tones and abilities in the makeup space?
That's a massive thing. I think I've definitely seen over the past maybe 5 years the competition with makeup brands is fierce. And I think that especially with the internet, things like that, one wrong move and it's quite a lot. So I think customers have learned that, if one brand doesn't work for me, well, I've got 500 other brands that I can go to.
Yeah.
And I think swatching, doing in-depth looks, close-up tutorials. I've started doing B-rolls of every single product in my makeup collection, which is going to take me all year. But like, I'm always trying to showcase that product in the best possible way, close-ups, applications, all that kind of stuff. Not just, this is the product I'm using, to really be able to get the audience to see, is that product worth it for me? Is that product right for me? I never want to recommend something that someone's going to buy and go, well, that's rubbish. Like, no, I don't want to do that. I always try and make a conversation in my comment section as well. Like, obviously, I'm pale. And I always say, like, if you have deeper skin, like, please let us know in the comments. It's a little community. Again, it's like the FaceTime with your friends, having a look, seeing.
Yeah.
I think getting your audience involved like that as well. It's not just me running this show, it's my audience and being grateful and inclusive to my audience as well with their opinions.
Yeah, you're so right. I mean, if there's a makeup brand where it hasn't got kind of the shade you're looking for, when there's like Fenty Beauty and Rare Beauty out there
Yeah.
with all these different shades, it's a no-brainer.
For sure.
So, how do you see technology, so like AI and AR apps, changing the future of the makeup kind of industry and consumer routines?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I think AI is quite controversial right now. I think there is a really good way that it can help. I kind of use a little bit of it for kind of like SEO, more businessy side of things. I think it can be a great help in finding inspiration. However, I have seen like a lot of people using it like purely for their marketing. So like getting rid of product photographers and production and things like that. And I really think that we need to keep the beauty community as this collaborative community. I think AI can really, really help with maybe shade matching. I've seen that a lot, which is incredible. Being able to type in your foundation shade and being able to find all the shades that are going to match you. Incredible, amazing. But I think it is a tricky rope. And I feel like because it's so new, I feel like that needs to be explored a lot more. But I really want people to be able to express their creativity, and I don't want the humanity of art to be squashed by AI. But I think it is very, very useful for other things like that.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult topic. It's interesting, but okay. So just to end on kind of a light note, then, can you just let us know your favorite makeup product and why?
Yeah, so actually I've got it with me. So this is a £3 powder, which I have repurchased about 50 times. And for dry skin, if you want to set without looking cakey, I think powders for dry skin is very, very hard.
Yeah.
But Essence, all about matte fixing powder. I've been loving it.
Oh, wow. And it comes at quite a lower price point, like an affordable price point.
Absolutely. I love affordable products.
Yeah.
I love trying to find things that won't break the bank but are genuinely really good. I find that a lot of products cake me up a little
Yeah.
bit, but yeah, I think this is fab. I think, yeah.
I'll have to try that out.
Amazing. Please do.
Well, thanks so much for your time, Caitlin. This has been really, really good to know and really, really interesting. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, as the saying goes, all good things must come to an end, and we're genuinely a little crestfallen to say that this is your final Z Factor with us, Shania.
Yeah, it's been a real privilege, Caitlin. And I know that for many of our listeners, TikTok can sometimes feel a bit distant from their everyday worlds. So I hope the Z Factor has helped more people feel informed, included, and a little more in the loop.
You really have, Shania. We're going to miss you enormously, and we wish you all the very best with whatever comes next. Before you go, though, would you like to leave us with just one final TikTok?
I'd love to. And with an estimated 34 million videos uploaded every single day, give or take, narrowing it down to just one was totally effortless. So, here it is. And with that, it's goodbye from me.
Last year, we predicted everything that would shape beauty and influencer marketing in 2025. We were right across the board. So let's do it again. If you're new here, I'm Marina. I'm an expert in the art of influence and digital beauty culture. Let's get into 2026. Our predictions are set across the backdrop of hyper-personalized beauty. We are not as interested in trend. We are not as interested in hegemony. What we're interested in is making algorithms, AI, products, services work best for us. We're already seeing some of this change in search behavior. They're moving away from best makeup look into makeup for my features. Pinterest has seen a 65% increase in hyper-personalized makeup. So keep in mind this individual approach as we go through the predictions. The first is the death to the influencer as we know her. Write my caveat. There will be no time where influencers at large won't be relevant. An individual with the influence over community and audience to act will always be relevant, will always work. Creator-led content continues to drive the highest ROI. However, this won't be news to you if you're chronically online. Get Ready With Me's aren't working as they used to. This economy, the PR halls are plain tone deaf. Honestly, the influencer trips have to stop. And I think the remedy of this will happen in two ways. One, it will be more raw. So more like FaceTime, bestie, we're having a chat kind of content. Or it will go the other way and it will be much more premium, almost episodic, almost theatrical. I think it's super healthy, and at this stage in our industry's development, it's what we need. The next is what we're seeing in makeup, which is a polarization. On one side, we have what we're calling procedural beauty. So think makeup that mimics a procedure. So instead of lip blushing, it's a lip stain. Instead of microneedling, it's gloss skin. Products like liner with high staying power. It's almost a doubling down of the high maintenance things I do to be low maintenance, thing that we saw a couple of years ago. On the other side, we have maximalist, but with a 26 lens. So it has a nod to that 2016 nostalgia of the cut crease and the full beat, but the lens of this very Y2K aesthetic. It's bold, it's stand out, it's full beat, it's all that good stuff. It's very decisively not clean girl. As always, art imitates life, and we can see the same reflection of conformity v rebellion in beauty as we do in global politics. That's a story for another time.
Yeah, we are going to miss Shania so much. I am that person who feels like TikTok exists in some kind of parallel universe. But thanks to Shania, I sometimes even feel like I can speak about this stuff and look like I know what's going on.
You always know what's going on, Andrew. Now, our regular slot of Making Sense of Social Media is not going anywhere, but we will be upgrading the format very soon.
Yep. And so our beauty pageant is coming to a close.
And there is so much more to say, such as how beauty is responding to the rise of GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy.
Yeah, I'm guessing you were glued to the Super Bowl, Caitlin.
I was, and in that infamous ad break, Wegovy didn't just premiere an ad, they premiered a pill. Who can say what happens next, but the availability of a pill will surely shift perceptions of GLP-1s from medical intervention to lifestyle choice. For beauty brands, we're already seeing searches for skin laxity rising fast because as bodies change quickly, people are noticing sagging and volume loss, and will be craving reassurance from body care brands, not just surface fixes.
Yeah, will we see the rise of compression care formats? Maybe, patches, wraps, zone-specific masks for arms, thighs, knees.
And for those who resist these medical interventions, will we see emergence of faux GLP-1 beauty innovations promising next-level sculpting and firming?
And then, of course, there's AI.
Yes, because that's already reshaping beauty, diagnostics, routines, shade matching, even emotional tracking. AI is removing a lot of friction, but does AI also remove feeling? Could this be when beauty loses its soul?
Well, that's an episode all by itself. And not unrelated, I think we should share our special news.
Yes, because we are recording our next episode in glorious Technicolor. We might need some old-fashioned surface care for that one, Andrew. In this special episode, we will be discussing the future of shopping, specifically the agentic era when AI literally takes the basket, with leading expert in AI and synthetic reality, Walter Pasquarelli.
Yeah, this is a huge topic, and it's got profound implications for brands right across the store.
This is an episode you cannot miss, so look out for our audio-visual edition, which will drop onto YouTube and other podcast platforms later in March. Now, Andrew, we started this episode with a complete racket. How should we end it?
How about a calming manifesto, Caitlin? So, a manifesto that makes it clear that beauty has the opportunity to play an increased role in people's daily lives, where it's less about perfection and more about supporting people's resilience, helping people steady themselves when life's a lot.
And so brands that wish to thrive in this new frontier should get their copy of the report at www.mmr-research.com.
So don't forget to check out our socials on LinkedIn and Instagram at
Impact Makers Pod. There you'll find that discount code for products by Galenie.
Yes, well, we look forward to seeing you and to you seeing us on our next outing.
Until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.